How's it going, guys? Teach Me Grappling, and I'm back with a new subject. Today, I'm going to talk about stalling. Stalling in Jiu-Jitsu and stalling in mixed martial arts, but mostly Jiu-Jitsu. We just got done with UFC 214, I think it was. Daniel Cormier and John Jones was the headliner, and we had the match with, or fight between Demian Maia and Tyron Woodley. So that was a MMA fight that had, a lot of stalling going on. Now some people will get mad at me for saying that, and they're going to say there wasn't stalling. Tyron Woodley was, doing a great job of fighting and defending and all that. But I just want to touch on that fight a little bit. I do believe that Woodley won the fight. I'm not going to say that Demian Maia deserved the win, but I just want to say that it was kind of an ugly way to win. And I think the fans obviously didn't like it. I think Dana White didn't like it. I think it doesn't help the sport very much. I know that these guys are fighting for their health, and they're fighting for money, and they really want to win. And this is for the title. But in the end, Demian Maia fought his ass off and really went out there and tried hard. And I don't think Woodley, I think he played it safe to a point, where he's just saying, I'm getting the W. And the way the sport is right now, it's not necessarily bad or good. It's the way it is. There is a rule in place in mixed martial arts called timidity, and that's when a guy completely runs away. That's all he's doing is running. So that is in place, and Woodley didn't cross over that line of timidity. He just defended a lot. But what I want to say is when a guy defends a lot, it's good, but that doesn't mean he's winning. To some people, they view it as he's effective. He's being effective. He's keeping the fight where he wants it to be, up on his feet. But when all I see is defense, let me just make it plain and simple. I don't want to, harp on this for too long. I'm probably spending way too much time. But one judge had all 5 rounds for Woodley, and I think that was ridiculous. I believe clearly, I only saw the fight once. Clearly the 5th round should have been Maia's. So I think the other judges had the 5th round for Maia, but for all I know, in some ways, I think it's arguable that Maia could have won even the 1st round. He got hit in the eye real bad, so there's some serious damage. But again, one shot that gave him some serious damage. There was other strikes thrown, but there was also strikes landed by Maia. The left hands may have not been super hard, but he did land some left hands, and Woodley landed his. But overall, I saw a lot of attack by Maia and just a lot of defense by Woodley. And again, just because he's effective with his defense and he nullified the takedowns, defense to me doesn't score points, and that's just how I feel. Now there's others that are on the other side and they go, no, he's being effective, and I totally get it. But I just want to say, in mixed martial arts and in the sport of boxing, they have these barriers. They have either an octagon or a ring, and so a fighter can try to corner his opponent. Although it's much harder in the UFC because of the ring, or the the circular cage or an octagonal cage. It's a lot harder to corner your opponent. We're talking about 30 feet, 32 feet. Some at the smaller shows have smaller cages. It's a little easier to pin your opponent against the cage, but it's harder in MMA. In boxing, you could have a 24-foot ring, you could have a 22, you could have a 20. They go as small as 18, but obviously not usually professional. These rings, you can corner your opponent, and that makes a huge difference. So I'm using MMA and boxing. I just want to drive this point home. There's a place to corner your opponent, so that if a guy is being a little timid or passive or stalling, one fighter can kind of force his opponent into a corner to create a fight. And in now getting back to Jiu-Jitsu, Jiu-Jitsu doesn't have that. They fight on mats, and here at my academy we have wrestling circles, but the typical Jiu-Jitsu square is a square area, and depending on the tournament, sometimes it's really, really small. And it's a big problem with jiu-jitsu tournaments. Because there is no barrier like a cage or a ring, ropes to keep you inside, you can go out of bounds. And this is something that jiu-jitsu's got to learn. And it's bugged me my whole life of jiu-jitsu. I'm now at about 21 years jiu-jitsu, and like 24, 25 years of wrestling. So it's bugged me for an awful long time for jiu-jitsu that they don't call stalling like they should. And it really is the biggest fix, in my opinion, that they can do to the rules of jiu-jitsu. Now, a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments have different rules and they see things differently, but I don't care what event you go to in jiu-jitsu. In my opinion, none of them call stalling the way they should. Now, I'm gonna pull it out. You gotta look at wrestling. And so all the wrestlers out there kind of know what I'm talking about. And those of you guys that are wrestlers and jiu-jitsu guys just like myself, you guys will either, some of you guys might disagree, but I think most of you guys will agree with me, because you see it in both, you see both perspectives. And it's just hard right now for the jiu-jitsu brain to understand and wrap their head around stalling. And it's the culture, it's the jiu-jitsu culture, but I want to advocate this new way. It's got to happen. And I think it's moving in this direction, but it's not moving fast enough, and I think I'm just here to push it further. So I will show you a little bit later exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm gonna keep rambling. This is gonna be a long video because I got a lot to say about it. And I don't think it's said enough. So this is the video that's gonna just get on the jiu-jitsu community about stalling. So I want every single tournament promoter, I want every single referee to hear what I'm saying. Everyone, every spectator, I don't care. Anybody who's involved in jiu-jitsu, and you guys go to jiu-jitsu competitions, this is what it's all about. This is what we need for our sport to get better, in my opinion. Now, anytime you make a change, you're going to lose something. And what you will lose by adding in stalling calls, and what I mean by stalling calls, the way I believe they should call stalling. What you're going to lose is you're going to lose a little bit of strategy. You're going to lose a little bit of the ability to be deceptive. You're going to lose a little bit of head mind games, a little bit of tactics that people like to use in jiu-jitsu. In the game of chess, you can have long games for hours, and you can really wear your opponent out. It can be very tiring to do a long chess match of like 2 to 3 hours. Guys will get tired, and you can wear them out. And in the same way in jiu-jitsu, you can mess with someone's head. I mean, if you have a long jiu-jitsu time limit, like a 10-minute time match, or maybe even some are like 20 minutes if it's a different format, you can wear your opponent out, especially with tactics like stalling. You can run away from them and create over-aggressiveness, and then they can fall into your trap. Stalling allows you to set up things. When you stall, again, people get overly aggressive and they go after you, and then you can set stuff up. So you're gonna lose that with what I advocate. But I think on the other end, you're going to get so much more. In some ways, the unathletic is going to lose. The unathletic jiu-jitsu fighter, the one who likes to hold positions and stall in some positions and rest, is not going to be able to do that. When you have stalling calls, you're going to force action, and that's going to make it where it's a little bit more of the physically prepared athlete is going to do better. So some people are going to be upset about that. They're going to go, oh, the smarter fighter is now at a disadvantage to the brute strength athletic jiu-jitsu fighter is going to have more of an advantage. But I don't care. I think that jiu-jitsu is a sport, and that's what we're talking about. It's not a real fight. If it was real fighting, if it's a different format, if you have a jiu-jitsu competition where we say, hey, submission only, we're going to fight until a submission happens, hey, then go ahead. If you want to have stalling, you can watch a 3-hour match or 2-hour match if you want to. I personally don't like to watch those matches for that long. So, you know, everybody, you just fast forward and you watch all the action clips. And so I don't think anybody as a whole, I don't think most of the community likes to watch those matches. So we like to see action, and we're gonna get the best out of Jiu-Jitsu by forcing the action. So I'm done with the UFC. Again, I don't like the way Woodley won, but he won. And I really applaud Damian Maia, but that's done now. MMA's off to the side. Let's get right into Jiu-Jitsu. So last night I was at EBI, and EBI is a submission-only format. And in submission-only, it generally is, the idea is it's supposed to take care of the stalling problem, because you don't have, if somebody gets on top and they get a takedown, or they get one guard pass, or they get one sweep, stalling doesn't help. They need to go for submissions. Eddie Bravo is going to give you $5,000 if you get a submission in regulation. So that's their motivation. It's like, boom, he's fixing the stalling problem by offering the $5,000, and you're not going to win on points. So it should fix the stalling problem. But last night, EBI got their first real bad taste, I would say, of stalling. And again, I don't even know a lot of the girls that competed, so I don't want to mess up their names. I believe it was a girl named Gabby, and it was the winner. I believe her name was Blanchfield. I kept calling her the wrestler girl in the finals. And I thought that was the biggest stalling that was deliberate. There was a lot of stalling in the semifinals with the Gabby girl and Talita. There was a lot of stalling there as well. But it was stalling on both girls' parts. There was moments of action and moments of stalling. Overall, that was a very boring match by most people's judgment. But if you put on your jiu-jitsu glasses, you probably won't agree with me, and you're probably not going to understand. So you're going to have to take off the jiu-jitsu glasses. You're going to have to put on a little bit of wrestling glasses. If you don't have wrestling glasses and you come from jiu-jitsu, you're going to have to just keep an open mind and try to hear me out. You have to understand that defense is not scoring points. Defense does not win matches. People will say, no, defense wins matches, because you defend, you let your opponent wear themselves out, and then you go on the attack. So defense is important, and it is, but this is a sport. So although I would advocate with my students for the art of jiu-jitsu and for self-defense and for, you know, a real fight, sometimes you got to use a little bit of stalling. You got to know defense. But when it comes to these sports, we have to get a rule set in place where we enforce stalling strictly. And we've got to call these competitors out. We have to do this. And then once we start doing it and we start dinging them, I'm talking about serious dinging them, like one verbal warning. This is how I think it should be. You give one verbal warning for the first stall call. You make it official. Not, you know, you might say, hey, come on, let's go. Let's get this thing rolling. And that would be good. But you've got to give one official verbal warning. Attention, I've warned you for stalling. It is going on a scorecard of some sort. It's getting written down. You've been warned. After that, you can add in one real penalty, and that penalty's got to be something. But and if it is just a slap on the wrist, if it's all it is a slap on the wrist, after you make it's got to be ultimatum. It's got to be stall again and you're out and you're disqualified. And I don't care what the rules say. I don't care if it's IBJJF, if it's any other tournament format of points or submission only, does not matter. One verbal warning after the verbal attention. If it's a tournament, like a points tournament, boom, you got to hit them with a 2 point, 2 points for your opponent, 2 point deduction, whatever you want to do, and then after that, disqualification. You know, something like that. And everybody goes, no, it's too strict. No, it's not. You ding them. They should already know the rules to start. Once you've given them a verbal warning, and then you give them the next one, and maybe it's a 2 point in a points tournament or in a submission only format, it's basically the ultimatum. Once you give them the ultimatum, if they do it again, done. So if anybody gets that far in a tournament, they have to go. There is no more holding. There is no more backing up. There is no more blocking movement. If it's a true stalemate where neither fighter can improve, that's not stalling. And that's the thing that we got to get our referees to understand. That's what we have to get the competitors to understand. That's what we have to get everyone to understand. That there's such a thing as stalemate, and then there's such a thing as stalling. So, and this is the big crux. It's the hard part, it's the messy part, it's the education part, and I gotta admit it, most people don't know what it is. So today I'm gonna show you a few different positions and situations where it is flat out stalling, and this is the biggest problem with Jiu-Jitsu. So I'm gonna go on and on. I'm gonna keep driving this point home. And again, I hope EBI hopefully will someday adopt something similar. I hope every single tournament, I think it's the best way. I think it's what our sport needs, and it's good for Jiu-Jitsu. It's gonna make more attacks, it's gonna make things more exciting, it's gonna bring more people to our sport, instead of people saying, that Jiu-Jitsu stuff gets boring. So, what else can I say? Here it is. First, people don't understand stalling on the feet. People say, well, this isn't wrestling. I go, yeah, it's Jiu-Jitsu. But guess what? Jiu-Jitsu has takedowns just like wrestling does. We can't allow people to back up. I spoke with another tournament organizer months back, and they tried to argue that it's okay to back up and avoid action, and then, oh, you make an attempt. And then you back up and avoid action, and then you make another attempt. And they think that that was okay because the person would make an attempt. Let's say after 20 seconds of stalling, they would then make an attempt. And 20 seconds of more stalling, and then they would make one attempt. But these attempts were half-hearted, and they were really just to avoid stalling. And we need referees trained to say, no, you are stalling. You just stalled for 20 seconds nonstop. Warning, you're stalling. In wrestling, if a person backs up, they can back up once. If they back up twice, the referee in his head is already going, you're starting to stall. You back up 3 times, and the referee now is already going to give you a warning. You know, if he doesn't warn you after the 3rd time, I guarantee you he's verbally giving you a friendly warning. He's saying, come on, let's circle in, let's move, let's get some action. You can't back up. And then without a doubt, by the 4th time, your hit was stalling. And it needs to be that way. Now, it's not just the backing up problem, it's the blocking problem. It's referees need to understand when a person's on their feet and all they're doing is posting. Posting is stalling. Every single grappler will post at some point. We'd all do it. I actually teach all my guys to post. At some point, I'm gonna have a post most of the time. It's a good defensive tool. But when all you do is post and you don't take another grip that is something active, and you have 2 posts, you're stalling. If you do that for 5 to 10 seconds, I'm already looking at you for stalling. And again, if we get a culture, if we create a culture where we let them know, hey, verbal warning, you are stalling. They're either gonna pull guard, they're gonna shoot, or they're going to make some type of offensive movement or offensive grip that is gonna make some action happen where either they get taken down or they take someone down. It's going to happen because the other person is gonna say, oh, the more I attack, they're gonna keep blocking, and then I'm gonna win by stalling calls. And that's what we need. When one athlete thinks they can win by the other person stalling, they will push harder, and then the person who's actually stalling will realize they can't get away with it. And it'll totally fix the problem. But you have to have, I want to say, the balls to call the stalling, or you got to have the confidence as a referee to call it, or the tournament organizer. You've got to say, this is the way it is, let's do it this way. And if people argue, if people say, hey, I don't like your rules, you're calling stalling too fast, look, all they have to do is do Jiu-Jitsu, is just attack. Defense should not be rewarded. Defense does not score you points. Passing guard, offense, okay? Takedowns, offense. Sweeps, offense. Mount, offense. Back take, offense. They're all offensive. Submission attempts, offense. We reward offense. When you escape them out, you don't get points because it's an escape. It's defense. We applaud you. Good job on escaping. Now get to work. You're supposed to get on the offense. And that's what this game is about. Nobody wants to see a 2-hour chess match where you just stay in a little cave and you hide. Nobody wants to see that. If all you do is defense, you are stalling. Stalemate's aside. So, all right. I think I'm ready to start showing you a few different, and I'm gonna make some comparisons. I hope I can make this clear. I don't really have this planned out. This is right off the top of my head on a cuff, so let's see. Let's do this. Megan, come on. Let me pick up my camera. I'm gonna give this guy to the camera guy. Let's do this. All right, Megan, come on. Okay, so this is our competition circle. I don't know if you guys can see. You know, it's basically basic wrestling mat. We've got 30 feet right here. I don't know if you can see the whole circle. This is a 30-foot circle. Now remember, most Jiu-Jitsu academies, or not academies, but tournaments, they use a square, okay? Now, when you're using a square, you have these corners. You actually get a lot more room when you have a square because you got the corners. But most tournaments, they don't use big squares unless you go to like IBJJF black belt divisions, like big. So when we start in the middle, look at how much room we have. If we're standing right here and I shake hands, boom, and the referee says go. If she starts to back up in a straight line and I start to move, look at how much room I have in this 30-foot circle. So now we're at the edge. Okay, this is a decent amount. I would say that most tournaments, and I'm not talking about IBJJF, I'm talking about the other tournaments, they don't have a lot of room. You don't have this much space. You don't. I would venture to say that, I would say that this is probably the average. The center at most tournaments is probably about right here. And then they slap hands, and then they go, and let's say I'm the aggressor and she's the passive one. So I start coming forward, and she's moving, and we get to about right here. And then I shoot a double leg, and she's gonna go back. And then the referee calls out of bounds. Okay, they call it a bounce and they bring us back to the center, which is about right here again. And then this happens again. And the way Jiu-Jitsu culture is, and this is what I'm trying to fix, what I'm trying to illustrate, Jiu-Jitsu culture will go like this. The aggressor, some aggressors do drive their opponents out of bounds, but they'll get to the edge and then almost like a good ring generalship, they call it in boxing, or good sportsmanship, they'll almost like say, oh, come on, let's go. Like, we're running out of space over there. Come on, let's go. And then they'll go back in the middle. Now we're here again, and we're going again. We're getting close to the edge again. And then it's kind of like, well, I don't have enough room to do a takedown because if I shoot on her, we're going to go out of bounds. So I'm just going to kind of go like this. And then the matches do it. They're constantly repeating the same cycle of this. This is a big problem. So first of all, competitors, drive your opponent out of bounds. You want the referee to call stall? Drive your opponent out of bounds. Every single time you get to here, I don't care if you attack or not. If you shoot, the best way is to shoot, but or to do something offensive. If you just push, a lot of times the referee isn't going to think you're that offensive. They're going to think that it's not offensive, but it is. It should be. It should count just the same. Because if I do this to her and she just backs up, she's stalling. If that's all it takes to back her out of bounds, she's stalling. I am not. Okay? And if all I'm doing is pushing, well, then guess what she can do? She can push my arms up and shoot. See that? She can do that. I'm giving her opportunities. I'm saying, please, come on, try something. Try something. I'm showing, no, yeah, but say she doesn't. She goes out of bounds. She's stalling. She's stalling. So do that. Help your referee out. Make his job easier to call stalling. Okay? Competitors. This is to the competitors. Make it easy. Don't be nice and say, oh, I don't have enough room. If you don't have enough room, then every time you do this, something in the referee's brain, they say to themselves, well, looks good to me. They're wrestling, they're grappling, they're going for takedowns, and then maybe she'll do it to me a little bit. And then as I go out of bounds, then she'll say, well, come on back in. And then we're kind of going like this. And everybody's like yelling, shoot, shoot, or just pull guard, or whatever. Okay? So again, this is the typical mat area. Obviously, I would always want bigger mat areas. Okay? That will help a lot. But when we have these small little mat areas, we've got to do something. So that's number one for the competitors. Now, for the referees, I'm going to start playing passive, and I want you to be aggressive. Okay, you don't need to hit me in the face. I just had LASIK eye surgery, so I'm doing this taking a risk. Okay, she's going to post on me. Okay, and now she might be looking offensive. I want you to watch for tie-ups that I use. Posting, posting. That's stalling. Look where she takes. Elbow, and maybe collar tie, for example. Now look at this position. She's got an elbow and a collar tie. Okay? Now, if she's here and she's like trying to, let's say she's trying to make a movement, like a tap, like yeah, that, like something like that. How do I defend that move? I defend it with a good post here, head position, and you can see, look what I'm doing with my arms. I'm straightening. Okay? Now, sure, I may be exposing myself to certain techniques, but this is stalling. Okay? She's grabbing a hold, and I'm stalling, if you guys can see. So, if this continues, you know, just pretend and just move. I'm going to stall. Okay? 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and hey, I need a verbal warning. I need a verbal warning right now. Okay, that is flat out stalling. Again, people need to learn how to fight. They need to learn the moves, and then they need to implement them in the tournaments. We're rewarding them with that kind of movement. Is it defense? Yeah, it's defense. Stalling is a great way to not get hurt. If you want to win against a great boxer, if you're in a boxing match, just run away. Now imagine if you were on a mat doing boxing and she's got great punches. She's great at punches. Imagine if I did this and she's punching. She's punching. Punch! Come on, shut up. And I go out of bounds. And we go back in the middle. Now the referee called us to the middle. Ready? And now she wants to hit me. And I do this. And you're like, man, he's got great footwork. Look at that guy. Great footwork. Every time, come on, come on. Yeah, no, just punch. Yeah, good. Out of bounds. It would make no sense at all on a mat. It makes no sense without stalling. In other words, if the sport happens on a mat, judo, sambo, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, they all need stalling, enforced, hardcore. In a ring, in a cage, there's a corner. Okay, even though it's hard in MMA because the cage is so big in the UFC and there's not much of a corner. You can see Tyron Woodley, he did get pinned against the fence a little bit. There's not much of a barrier to be pinned against. So, but still, it's there. At least there's a barrier. In jiu-jitsu, we don't have one. That means stalling has to happen. You have to have the rule. Now, they already say we have the rule. They're starting to warn in tournaments more than they did 10 years ago. They warn now. But I just want to tweak that dial a little more. This is stalling. I want to compare it to something. Go ahead and get me in the guard. Okay? Because this is where the referees understand jiu-jitsu a lot better. Just to be honest. Most in the world of jiu-jitsu, they just don't understand takedowns as much because jiu-jitsu is primarily based like a grappling ground-based system, martial art. It needs to have more takedowns in it, but it just doesn't. It's just they spend more time on the ground. But every referee would understand that, for example, this is stalling. Going around her waist, locking my hands. See, my hands are locked. And I just do this. Now, don't hit my eyes. Try to move and be active. At what point is a referee going to say, hey, come on, we're stalling, you gotta work, okay? You gotta work, you're stalling. You know, they're not gonna say anything, okay? Or excuse me, I said that wrong. They will say something when it comes to that. If I sat there for 10 seconds, 15 seconds, a referee is gonna say something. He should say it at 5 seconds. He should say it probably at 3 seconds. I'd love it to be about 3 to 5 seconds. Hey, gotta get to work. You know, if you just took them down, I understand, or you're establishing some type of control, or if you have a strategy of using that for a moment, that's fine. But the second they stay in the same position, they don't move, that's a stalling tactic, okay? You know they're doing it. There's 30 seconds left on the clock. This person's ahead by 1 point, and they'll just literally stall, and this person's moving like crazy, and they know they can get away with it. The second you ding them, they'll be forced to attack, and we'll have more action. More matches will be won where she'll get a sweep because I won't be able to do this. I'll have to start working, and then through this action, some type of move will happen, and points will go up. We've got to stop them. And so again, that looks like stalling. You know, if someone is just holding their guard, it's possible to stall. If someone, some people just have crazy leg control and they just hold. And this person's here and they can't do anything. And again, what I said earlier, we are going to lose, with my ways, we're going to lose strategy. Where she goes, my strategy is to hold and not do anything so that I get overly aggressive, and then as I get overly aggressive, something now happens. For example, just an example. So I get overly aggressive because of her tactic. So we're gonna lose a little bit of that because we're not gonna let people do that sort of thing, where they just hold. But again, a referee can talk to the athletes and say, hey, we need to work. We gotta work right now, let's get it going. And again, if you're just more strict with it, then they'll listen. Because after a few athletes get disqualified, the whole herd will start to learn. They'll all learn. They'll go, oh, I don't want to lose like that. And it's already happened. It's moving in that direction already. There's people that used to over-celebrate in Jiu-Jitsu. And then there's a couple great funny videos you can watch on YouTube of guys over-celebrating after their match. And then what happened? They got disqualified. Referee disqualifies and raises the other guy's hand. And then everybody's like, what? All I did was jump up and down, do a flip, and then run into the crowd and give my mama a hug. And then I came back out and I did a couple of jumping jacks. And why did I lose? Because you were not good sport. You know, you got disqualified. And look what happens now. Less people do it. So in the same way, less people will stall, okay, if they start dinging them. So that's stalling. But this right here, let's talk about, you're on the bottom and I'm here. She's in a seated guard. I'm trying to pass the guard, okay? This is stalling. She butt scoot forward. Yeah, we're gonna go. The other night at EBI, it happened. We had a lot of this, where again, Gabby was kind of backing away from Toledo a lot. And Toledo was getting frustrated because this was happening. And again, like, just because I do this a little bit, okay, and I get out of there, and then I try one move, and then, no, you're supposed to defend, please. Please defend. I do one move, she defends. She goes to the back, and then I get away. So I looked offensive for a split second. So I stall for 20 seconds, and then I'm offensive for 2. I stall for 20, I'm offensive for 2. I stall for 20, I'm offensive for 2. After a 10-minute match, one girl stalls for, I'm not saying it was Gabby. I'm not, because there was Toledo stalling too at some points. But one person stalls for 8 minutes out of a 10-minute match. It's just not right, okay? It's not good for Jiu-Jitsu. The crowd hates it. They want to see people go at it. And we need it, that's where the sport needs to be. We need to push the sport towards 2 athletes going at it. It's what everyone's going to applaud. It's what's going to bring more people into the sport instead of making people fall asleep in their chairs and people who want to just go home. And you know, you go to events that take all night. So anyway, so again, that's stalling. Now, what if I'm trying to pass and she just butt scoots backward? Okay, this happens a lot. You'll see it, and then this person's like really trying, and then they'll start to pass, land her back. They'll start to pass, and then she's just defending, and then she'll recover the guard, and push me away, nothing offensive. And then she goes back here and she goes back into scooting. And the crowd will sometimes applaud because she does maybe one inversion, like she inverts one time and then nothing happens, and then she goes right back to stalling. And again, we've got to train our brains. We have to learn that that is not activity. We need real attacks. If she backs up and that's all she does, that's not right. Neither person can back up. She can't back out of bounds. We can't do that, okay? Now usually it's not. It's usually not this person. It's usually this person. It's this person is dangerous on the floor with their guard, and then the standing person, I'll just admit it, it's usually like a wrestler at a tournament. Everybody's probably gone against that guy. If you're a good guard player, you've gone against the wrestler who just goes, you pull guard, and they're here, and then they just don't want to engage. And so all they do is post on you and push away and run. And they're trying to kill the time limit, and then maybe they can win on a takedown or maybe score some points after they've frustrated you so bad and they've gotten you tired. So again, we've got to be more vigilant with the stalling calls. And again, this people can understand a lot more. But with takedowns, I'm killing this today. I'm just going to keep hammering it because it's hard to explain, but all these positions, I have an underhook, I have a wrist, okay? I'm coming forward right here, and now she's just winging down and backing up. This is a fleeing position, okay? Of course she needs to play defense, unless she has some type of crafty counter. But she needs to defend herself. But remember, if all she does, every time I do this, she limp noodles out of that, and no, you don't get offensive. I train my athletes to be offensive, okay? She limp noodles and runs away. That right there, the referee needs to go, oh, I saw it. She was attacked, she defended properly, but then she ran away. So look at it. It's what really matters is that when she defends and escapes, does she go on the offensive or does she run? And right now she just took several steps back that were not needed. What should happen is after she limp noodles out, she needs to take a grip, and at least an attempt at an offensive grip, if not an attack. It doesn't always have to be a shot. Not everybody's good at shooting, but you've got to do something, okay? If all she does is back up in the circle, and now I move forward, and the same thing happens again. I get some control, and then I get some more control, and then it happens again, like I'm trying to attack, and now she's moving, and she moves this way. See, she knows where she is. She's like, I'm not gonna go out of bounds, because if I go out of bounds, they're gonna think I'm stalling. You're stalling whether you're inbounds or going out of bounds. They're all stalling. She's backing up. It happens again, okay? We need to warn this person. I'm offensive, she's not. In the finals of VBI, Blanchfield, I believe her name was, amazing. She had great skills, both top and bottom. Maybe not so much on the bottom, but she was on top almost the whole night. But standing and on the ground with her pressure passing was awesome. She had crazy takedown skills. And she would just press forward and press forward and press forward. But in the finals, it took a long time because there was so much backing up. But finally, she just got fed up. She goes, you know what? I know you're afraid of me as far as, and I'm not saying afraid in that way. I'm saying afraid like, I know you don't want to engage. In fact, I thought it was the smart strategy. Stalling was the best idea for the other girl to use to get to the overtime to try to win. Because the overtime is where she had a better shot. She didn't need Blanchfield to lay on top of her with her shoulder in her face for 6 minutes. You know, you do that, you're gonna be worn out, and then overtime's not gonna be too much fun. So she did the right, for the way the world is right now, she did the right thing, she stalled. That was her best card to play. But it upset all the crowd. Again, you guys can watch it. If you guys haven't watched EBI, you guys got to get some UFC Fight Pass and jump on it. But you know, after finally being ultra aggressive, Blanchfield, finally the other girl caught a single leg, and then she caught her with a scissor takedown, and she jumped behind the leg. Relax, chill out. And then she jumped behind and scissor takedown, and then got the fight on the mat, and it looked active for the last 2 minutes or whatever it was, and it was exciting. And then they went to overtime and Blanchfield won. But again, we don't want to see this anymore. I don't think anybody wants to see it. You guys can argue with me. You can always comment down below and let me know that I don't know what I'm talking about, but I do. And if you have any other suggestions, you can let me know what you think. Again, just no more blocking. If the person's blocking, warn them. After the warning, if it's a points tournament, give a point deduction, and then it's an ultimatum. Do it again, you're DQ. It's as simple as that. Be very aggressive with it. Call it in the first 30 seconds of a 6-minute match, 5-minute match, 10-minute match. Call it in the first 30 seconds. If two jiu-jitsu guys go out there and they do this, and then they go like this, stall. It's simple. Bam! Warn them both. Warning, stalling, warning, stalling. Next one's going to be a point deduction or points for your opponent. The next one after that, DQ'd. And then imagine, after the 30 seconds, they're going to get active at that point because they don't want to lose points now. So you're already going to get the action. And then once they get more action and one guy's ahead 2-0, what do you think he's going to do? Because he's taught by his instructor to do it. He's just going to teach him to shut the position down, stall, sit in a position and just hold. And then once they do that, they get dinged again and the 2-point deduction happens and now their back's against the wall. And then the other person, let's say they're on the mat, we've both been warned because we both did it. And now I'm ahead by 2. I'm ahead by 2 points. Okay? I got a sweep, let's say. Okay, I pull guard and I got a sweep. And now I'm here. And now I just do this. And I start holding. And I'm looking at my coach, and my coach is telling me, I'm like, hey, what's up? Referee, you can see that. He's talking to his coach. It's not wrong to talk to your coach. But all he's doing is talking, he's like, and the coach tells him too, hey, just hold, you're doing good, just hold. You gotta keep the pressure. Pressure. I'm putting the pressure, okay? And she moves a little bit, and then I'm just holding, okay? Then all I do is just hold. And I'm looking at the clock, and boom, all of a sudden, you warn me for stalling. First thing they're gonna do is they're gonna get mad. Oh, come on, we weren't stalling. Yes, you were. Now, my 2-point lead, it's tied 2-2, and my back's against the wall. So now she knows it. There's a minute left. If she just pushes the pace, and if I do it again, let's say I still have a 1-point lead, and I do it again, I could lose. So it's gonna make me fight. It's gonna make me fight. You just need referees that have the confidence. The confidence to call it and to say, you're stalling. That's the way we do it here. It's gotta start with that. Tournament organizers, please. The referees can't do it unless the tournament director understands and agrees. But so it really starts with them, but we've got to do that. Now sure, there's lots of like discussions over what is stalling and what isn't. Like I said, there's positions of stalemate. You know, this right here is not stalling. If I'm here and she's locked, this is not stalling. This position, like spiderweb for EBI, this is not a stalling position. This is a good fight. We're seeing a lot of action. Crowds yelling at us. They're telling me to work hard because if I pull and break the grip, I can win. And they're telling her to stay calm and confident and defend and try to escape. This is action. This is jiu-jitsu. These positions are not jiu-jitsu. I'm ahead by any number of points, okay? And I'll turn over here. Okay? These are not positions of jiu-jitsu where I'm winning, there's 2 minutes, and my coach tells me to just hold. As she's trying to get out, and I've got a body triangle, and she can't do anything. Am I working for the finish right now? No. I'm not even working for the finish. What am I doing? The only thing you can argue that I'm doing is I'm trying to set her up. Oh, I'm trying to set her up. You're right, I'm trying to set her up. I want her to lift her neck up and expose her and let go of my arms, and then boom, I can get a rear naked choke. Yeah, but that kind of setup of going, I'm gonna wait to do it? No, my job right here is to start controlling things so that I can start setting things up so I can go. If I go here and she's pulling my hand, and then boom, and I switch it, and I fit the rear naked on this side, that's called Jiu-Jitsu. This is not Jiu-Jitsu. This is the same thing when Jiu-Jitsu guys hate wrestlers who run away from the guard. This is the same thing. This is running away from the fight. While I'm running away with a victory, I'm holding on, okay? In basketball, they have a 24, in pro, they have a 24-second shot clock, okay? Why? Why do they have a shot clock? If a team's winning, they just dribble the ball, pass it, keep doing it. No, you have a shot clock, 24 seconds. In Jiu-Jitsu, it doesn't quite work like that. If you do 20-second shot clock or 10-second shot clock, those things are complicated. It needs to be up to the referee. It's not a time limit. It's not. You can't go, they used to say that. They go, inactivity for 30 seconds is stalling. Inactivity. What is that? Hold for 29 seconds in side control, then make one move towards north-south, then hold again for another 29 seconds, and I can evade the stalling call? That makes no sense. Stalling is stalling. We all know when we're doing it. We need to start calling people out on it. So let's call people out on stalling. We'll make Jiu-Jitsu great again, okay? And that's all I got. I killed it. I did it to death. How long is this video?
46 minutes.
Oh, you're killing me. Nobody's gonna watch this. Thanks a lot, guys. Teach me grappling. Stalling, don't do it.
Better edit that shit down.
No.